You check your bank statement. There's $12 for something called Premium Plus. You don't recognize it. You search your email. Find the welcome message from 11 months ago. You still don't remember signing up. You review last month's statement. 8 different subscriptions. Streaming services you only use one night a week. Fitness apps you opened twice. Cloud storage for photos you never look at. The total equals your grocery budget. You tell yourself you'll cancel tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes never. You finally decide to clean house. You log into one account. The cancel button is hidden 3 menus deep. They offer you 3 months free. You take it. You feel relieved. You close the laptop. Nothing is actually canceled. 3 months later, the charges resume. You notice. Feel stupid for 30 seconds, then forget again. The cycle repeats. You're not lazy. You're not bad with money. You're caught in a system designed to exploit the exact psychology that makes you human. Here's the pattern that might feel uncomfortably familiar. Every subscription you keep is a small vote for a future self who will definitely use this. That future self never arrives, but the hope they represent keeps your wallet open. The cost isn't just the money. It's the slow erosion of your attention, your space, your sense of control. You've been telling yourself you just need to get organized, that you'll do a financial review this weekend, that everyone has subscriptions they forget. But that's the lie, the comfortable one, because the truth is harder to swallow. You're not keeping these subscriptions because you're forgetful. You're keeping them because canceling feels like admitting defeat. In the next 18 minutes, you will understand exactly why your brain treats unused subscriptions as safer than canceled ones. And more importantly, how to reclaim your money and attention without the shame spiral. But first, let me tell you about someone who sat exactly where you are now. Priya was 29, marketing coordinator. On paper, she was responsible. Automatic savings, budget spreadsheet. The vocabulary of someone who has their finances together. But Priya had a secret. Every month, she lost $60 to $80 to subscriptions she didn't use. Not big amounts, never enough to trigger real action. A language app for the trip she never planned. A meditation service that stressed her out with daily reminders. A premium delivery service for a lifestyle she didn't actually live. I just need to do a proper audit, she told me. This weekend, I'll cancel everything. I saw her 6 months later. The audit never happened. The subscriptions increased. The language app had auto-renewed for a full year because she missed the monthly window to cancel. She'd paid $90 for a service she used 0 times. I feel so stupid, she said. I know better. I just can't face it. In 2020, researchers at the University of Pennsylvania published a study that should have changed how we think about consumer behavior. They found that people keep unused subscriptions for an average of 7 months after they stop using them. Not because they forget, because the act of canceling triggers a specific pain. The pain of admitting a past decision was wrong. Think about that. 7 months, often longer. Paying for something you don't use because the alternative is feeling stupid for having signed up. Your brain would rather lose money than lose face with itself. Here's how marketing becomes your financial prison. If you grew up with any scarcity, if you learned that opportunities are rare, that saying no means missing out, that you should grab things while they're available, you didn't just learn to sign up. You learned to avoid the feeling of regret, to postpone the admission of error, to keep the door open even when you're not walking through it. Priya's mother never returned anything to stores. It's done, she'd say. The waste was less painful than the confrontation. By 29, Priya was still treating her digital subscriptions like her mother's non-returnable purchases. The money was spent. The mistake was made. Looking at it only made it real. This is where most people get it wrong. They think the solution is more discipline, calendar reminders, quarterly reviews. But discipline is exactly what created the problem. The more you try to manage, the more subscriptions you accumulate. The more you optimize, the more complex the system becomes. The more complex, the easier to hide from. Why doesn't just cancel what you don't use? Fix this. Why do people who try to clean house end up with more subscriptions 6 months later? Because this isn't an organizational problem. It's an emotional regulation problem. You don't have too many subscriptions. You have too many escape routes from the present moment. And your nervous system has decided that paying for possibilities is safer than admitting you're not using them. The counterintuitive truth is this. You don't keep subscriptions because you're forgetful. You keep them because they're proof of a future self you're afraid to let die. All that advice about Marie Kondoing your finances, about asking, does this spark joy? About the sunk cost fallacy? It becomes another performance. Another way to feel virtuous without feeling the loss. Another layer of financial minimalism that masks the grief underneath. Why don't subscription tracking apps work for people like Priya? Why does seeing the total monthly cost become a compulsion that ends in avoidance? Because visibility without action feels like accusation. You're not managing subscriptions. You're managing the shame of having them. And when the shame peaks, you hide. You close the app. You promise to deal with it later. Later never comes. Here's what happens when your nervous system encounters the cancel button. You log in. Your brain registers the interface. Before you can click, your threat detection system activates. This was a good idea once. You might need this. Stopping now means admitting you wasted money. Keep it. Keep the possibility alive. Not consciously. Never that. Consciously, you believe you want to save money. But your body learned that endings are losses. That stopping is failure. That the money spent is less painful than the identity hit of I made a mistake. But here's the revelation that changes everything. The goal isn't to eliminate the urge to keep subscriptions. That urge is information. The goal is to recognize it as grief for a future self, not a financial necessity. To sit with the loss of who you thought you'd become until your nervous system learns that identities aren't built on monthly charges. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming someone who can let go without disappearing. Let me give you 3 specific techniques that rewire this pattern without requiring you to just cancel everything. The most useless advice ever given. First, the receipt ritual. When you find a subscription you don't use, you will not cancel immediately. You will write down exactly what you paid, for how long, and what you hoped would happen. Not to judge, to mourn. $40 for 6 months. I hoped I'd become someone who meditates daily. Most people discover something remarkable. The subscription isn't a service. It's a tombstone for a future self. End quote. The language app isn't about learning Spanish. It's about the person who travels. The fitness subscription isn't about exercise. It's about the body you believed you could have. The writing software isn't about productivity. It's about the novel you thought you'd start. Canceling without grieving is why you sign up again. The grief finds another subscription to attach to. The ritual makes the loss real, which makes the letting go permanent is less than #0. 25# is greater than. Second, The replacement rule. For every subscription you cancel, you will immediately redirect that exact amount to a specific tangible experience, not to savings, not to debt, to something you do this week, coffee with a friend, a book you'll actually read, a ticket to something happening now. Most people discover they've been paying for possible futures while starving their actual present. The replacement isn't about the money. It's about teaching your nervous system that now matters more than later, that you deserve things you actually use, that the present self is worth more than the fantasy. You won't stop chasing future selves by arguing with them. You'll stop by feeding your current one. Every replacement is a vote for who you are, not who you might become. Third, the one-click commitment. You will cancel using only the company's required method. No searching for easier ways. No waiting for better timing. If they hide the button, you hunt it. If they offer retention deals, you decline. If they make you call, you call. The friction you face is the exact cost of your avoidance. Here's what usually happens. You discover that the difficulty is the point. That companies invest millions in dark patterns because they work. That your resistance to the hassle is why the subscription continues. Facing the friction teaches your nervous system that you're willing to feel discomfort for your own benefit, that you're worth the effort. You might think this sounds good in theory, but your subscriptions are different. You actually will use that language app. You actually need that cloud storage. Your situation requires keeping the door open. I understand that resistance. But consider this. How many future use subscriptions have you actually started using after keeping them for 6 months? How many times has the possibility become reality? How many times has the keeping cost more than the potential benefit? Your needs are real. Your interpretation of them is learned. The receipt ritual won't make you fluent, but it will reveal which subscriptions are truly about growth and which are about avoiding the feeling of giving up. And if you only did this for 30 days, something peculiar happens. You start noticing the moment of sign-up, the fantasy that attaches to the purchase, the future self that smiles in the confirmation email. And in that noticing, you have a choice you never had before. Let me show you exactly how this plays out. Priya finds the language app. $80 for the year, auto-renewed. Her phone buzzes. A notification. Your streak is waiting. She hasn't opened the app in 4 months. Old pattern activates immediately. I could start tomorrow. I still want to travel. Canceling means giving up on that dream, but she's practiced the receipt ritual. She writes, $80, 12 months. I hoped I'd become someone spontaneous who speaks Spanish in Barcelona. She feels the grief. The person who doesn't exist. The trip that never happened. She doesn't argue with the feeling. She just sees it. She redirects the $80. Dinner with her sister, talking about actual travel plans, not fantasy ones. Real conversation. Real connection. Real present. She faces the cancel button. 3 menus deep. 2 retention offers declined. 1 phone call made. The friction is real. The discomfort is real. She stays with it. She wins. Her sister asks about the app months later. Priya feels the old urge. The fantasy flickers. She doesn't fix it with a new subscription. She lets it be true that she wants to travel and hasn't started learning. The wanting is real. The subscription wasn't the solution. But wait, there's a trap here. you must avoid. The most common implementation mistake is turning these techniques into new forms of subscription. I've seen people keep receipts for every canceled service, creating a new archive of past failures. The replacement rule becomes compulsive spending on experiences you don't actually want. The one-click commitment becomes a new ritual of self-punishment. If you catch yourself performing minimalism, stop. Seriously. Keep the subscription if you must. Break the rule. The goal isn't perfect cancellation. It's honest recognition of why you're keeping it. I want you to remember a specific moment now. Think of the last subscription you signed up for. The confirmation email, the welcome message, the future self who smiled back at you from the screen. What did they have that you lacked? What did they promise about who you'd become? Now contrast that with your actual last month. The apps you opened, the services you used, the present self who actually showed up. Feel the difference in your body right now. One is hope, expensive and weightless. The other is reality, imperfect and free. You have been paying for hope because it once kept you safe. But you're not in that house anymore. You're not that child who had to grab opportunities because they wouldn't return. You're an adult who can afford to find out what happens when you stop paying for futures you don't build. A year from now, you won't remember the techniques I gave you today. You'll forget the receipt ritual and the replacement rule. But if you remember one sentence, remember this. You don't keep subscriptions because you're wasteful. You keep them because you're terrified of admitting who you actually are. The question isn't whether you can afford the monthly charge. It's whether you're willing to find out that you were always enough without the proof of purchase. Here's what I want to know. What future self are you still paying for, and what would happen if you met your present self instead? If this question found a tender spot, that's the work. 2. That's the recognition that your subscription habit isn't a failure of organization. It's a loyalty to hopes that outlived their usefulness. If you felt that recognition, the like button becomes something different than approval. It becomes an acknowledgement, a small act of presence in an economy designed to keep you subscribing. That's what you're giving when you press it, not validation, witness. And if you want to continue this conversation, next week we're exploring why you can't say no to expensive social plans, the psychology of FOMO spending, the hidden cost of maintaining appearances, and why your friends' expectations feel like financial obligations. If that sounds like someone you know, maybe you subscribe now. Not for more content, for the next piece of your financial identity you're ready to reclaim. I'll see you there.